So you're falling out of love with the FGC. Chemical Day 3473 says via Reddit, I left FPS behind and joined the FGC back in 2020 as they were the only gaming community still gathering to play together. After COVID, it felt like the FGC was growing faster and bigger than any time before. Unfortunately, that's where the good news ends. Ever since then, the community has become increasingly negative. Every video, comment, literally all negative. Every patch, there's 100 plus videos of people being negative. Every Reddit post is all negative. I'm just a casual and I enjoy watching the tournaments, but I can't find any content that doesn't revolve around people dumping on their own games. How is this community supposed to grow when everything being made is negative? Like I said, I'm a filthy casual and probably play 1 hour a day switching between Smash, Street Fighter 6, and Tekken 8. As far as I'm concerned, all these games are fun and I love each in their own way. I try to invest more time into the content, but I'm just served negativity. I'm really tired and considering unsubscribing from all the FGC YouTube channels. Let me know if it's just me or you can recommend someone who loves these games regardless of the patches. This is seemingly a pretty dense post to tackle. I mean, at the end of the day, you're gonna do what you want to do. If the content creators that you've been interacting with are not serving you what you want, like they are not continuing to give you reasons to come back around and like give you content that you can enjoy, yeah, like unsubscribe. Why would you want to take part in that negativity? But let's double back a little bit to the beginning. You're for sure gonna have the most nostalgia attached to the time in the FGC that you actually came from. It's very much the same for me. I jumped onto the scene in late 2017 or like mid 2017 into early 2018 with the release of Dragon Ball FighterZ. Dragon Ball FighterZ still is my favorite game to this day, so you're always going to look back fondly in the time that you came from. 2020 was a pretty decent year. It was right on the back of Strive coming out, which was part of what paved the way for the FGC to be in the modern era that it is now. Guilty Gear Strive was like the first big game to release rollback as like the main source of netcode as far as like implementation is concerned. And then games that came out subsequently, games like Tekken 8 and Street Fighter 6, really pushed the community in waves because obviously those are two of the powerhouse games to come out. And at the start of every new generation of games, like there's going to be a surge of people coming into the scene. This was really obvious when something like Street Fighter 5 kind of came onto the scene and started pushing the esports side of fighting games a little bit more, and you could even go as far back as to say something like Street Fighter 4 as well, because each year throughout its life cycle continued to grow, but people were like, oh man, I'm tired of this game, get me to the next title, you know, which led to Street Fighter 5, which led to a little bit more esports implementation into the fighting game community. Dragon Ball FighterZ was the game that came along that showed me just how cool fighting games were, and then that kind of like creeped on over into other fighting games. It was the reason I gave other games a chance. It was the reason I played Guilty Gear. It was the reason I played Street Fighter. And I like all those games, not as much, but I still am a fan of them. Like, they all bring something valuable for me to play. Dragon Ball FighterZ is a very fast game, very crazy, very hectic. Street Fighter, a little bit more slowed down comparatively, a little bit more controlled. It's just all different flavors of things for me to enjoy playing. To, like, address the negativity, like, that's pretty tough. I think finding people that are always positive all the time in a game or genre that they're trying to improve in is rough. And I know you're not exactly asking for someone that's like, oh, I'm happy all the time. You're just asking, it's like, oh man, there's so much negativity. Like, can someone be positive? I get that. The thing specifically about fighting games is that they attack your ego literally more than any other game, probably. You are the direct result of your wins and losses. There's no one else responsible. There's no one else to blame your losses on. Like, you know, you don't have teammates, right? And as a result of fighting games attacking your ego in the way that they do, it's way easier to become frustrated. Criticism of patches, or in Street Fighter's case, I guess lack of notable patches, is interesting because the people that play the game are the most likely to be negative because they are uniquely weaponized to do so. They are intimately familiar with the source material that they're criticizing. But like, this isn't inherently unique to fighting games either. Like, look at any competitive game. Look at games like Rocket League or Counter-Strike, Valorant, League of Legends. Nobody will hate on their game more than the people playing. And unfortunately, like, there isn't a way to like directly solve the negativity unless everyone just decides to start being happier, which is impossible. So yeah, unsubscribing to the people that are super negative about everything so you don't get sucked into that is completely valuable. I don't disagree with the thought process. No! Damn it. The thing with Street Fighter and Tekken is they have the most amount of voices attached to them and the biggest following. So the voices that are at the top, especially if they're negative, there's going to be a lot of trickle down with that. The people that are absorbing all this content are going to be pretty much parroting what the people at the top are saying, because those are the people that inform. So if the top isn't happy with what's going on in the scene, then the people down below are going to be voicing those same sentiments. If I could make a recommendation, if you'll allow me, I would really recommend something like 2XKO. Hear me out. First off, I'm a fan of the game, so there's going to be some biases going on. Of course, I like the game. I'm going to try to promote it. But putting that aside, every interaction I've had with the game has been positive. Whether I go to locals, whether I talk about it online with people that like the game, specifically with people that like the game. There's a lot of haterade for other games outside of the games that people are not playing, but the people that actively play the game, I hear all the time, it's like, man, I love this game. This game is so much fun. It's great. I assume content maybe around that is similar. I'm kind of in the similar spot where these days I'm not absorbing a ton of content around video games. I'm just kind of playing them and talking to the people like that do play them. And yeah, COVID was a pretty big hit for the person-to-person interaction for these games. People were forced inside for multiple years, so the landscape changed accordingly. Games had to adapt. Guilty Gear Strive paved the way with the implementation of mainstream games putting rollback netcode into their game. And every other game after that just kind of followed suit. People got comfortable with staying inside and playing video games because the practice was just like, it was good. You know, you were able to get just as good matches online as you were offline, and in some respects it was better because you didn't have to worry about consoles overheating or laggy monitors. Like, you know your setup, you know it's like as optimized as it can be. Sometimes it's not, you know, depending. Going out for like big tournaments is expensive. I went to locals and I won my locals, and it was a small bracket, it's not anything that crazy, but I won and I lost money because I had to pay for parking because we were downtown, so that cost money. I paid for my entry fees. I paid for someone else's entry fee for a different game because it's the homie, you know, I'm gonna hook them up. It's not that big a thing, but I won and I still lost money, and that's just a local. If you are gonna travel somewhat extensively to a major, 99, probably I'm making the number up, but most of the population that are going to be playing and entering the game are going to be operating at a net loss. So that kind of doesn't help things. Entering these open brackets is more expensive than it's ever been, and then the travel costs, so you are net at a loss for a majority of the population, multiple hundreds of dollars, and then there's going to be plenty of that player base that's going 0-2. So it's tough. It's a tough sell. It really is. Online being a good, like as good as it is a good and a bad thing at the very same time. Unfortunately and fortunately, it is the best way to play the video game. If you want to interact with more of the positive side, oh dude, fucking the beach balls, I didn't even know. If you want to interact with more of the positive side of the FGC, I really recommend something like video essays on either games that are beloved from the past, or, you know, just games that are beloved in general, talking about cool mechanics in games or something like, or just really cool, awesome tournament runs that you might not know about. That's one of my favorite I can speak, I promise. That's one of my favorite ways to interact with the FGC, because I, in my old age, appreciate like a lot of food for thought regarding content. The mindless playing the online video game as much as I do it too, and I'm grinding ranked for this game specifically for YouTube videos. You know, I occasionally dip my toe in something a little bit more conversational like this. So I mean, like, give 2XKO a try, see if you like it. If not, it is what it is. I'm not gonna force you to like a game that you're just not into. After that, if you have a game that you rock with, go to your locals, because that's going to be the person-to-person interaction that you're looking for, like regarding the scene. If you don't have something like super close to you, like find a local that is in a reasonable distance that you are willing to make the commute semi-regularly for. A level beyond that, if you're like, if there's nothing even close, take a look around and see if there's any online tournaments and discords that you can participate on, so you can not quite get the level of like face-to-face interaction that you're looking for, but you know, talk with some of the people in the discord, you know, enter tournaments so you can get that competition side out of you, if that's something that you're fiending for, and then just after the tournament's over, ask if anyone wants to chat, so that way there's a little bit more interpersonal interaction going on. And then, you know, it might not satiate that fully, but it's at the very least a supplement. And then if that's not enough, you can try to find more person-to-person interaction elsewhere as well. So those two things in combo with each other, amazing. And yeah, and then if you have a local scene or something like that, or if you are opting for the Discord route, that's more interpersonal than something like going to a major is, because going to a major is just a sea of people. You might get lucky and be able to stumble upon like a friend that you made there and then grow a relationship that way. I don't know, but the chances of making more meaningful relationships in a smaller setting is obviously going to be more possible. Let me say too that being a part of the FGC doesn't have to be binary. It's not like a 1 or 0 thing where you're all in or all out. You can play and interact with fighting games as much as you want to. If you're purely happy in just playing the video game and playing the games that you like online, and then that's kind of it, maybe watch some tutorial content so that way you can improve, maybe that's all it needs to be. Now, if any of you have any recommendations for this individual, leave it in the comments below. Just try to help out a homie. But just remember, friends, keep on fighting, get ready for the next battle, and I guess stay positive. I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.